Oh boy, let's do this. Time to talk to these Steam Deckian fans. Steam Deck fans, they don't take no nonsense around here. What you got for them, Chris? Talk! What's up, people? Another beautiful day or night. Yep. Hope your five senses work. Hope your health and strength is good. What? And to you Steam Deck fans, what's up with it? Steam Deck Tribe, Steam Deck Nation, Steam Deck Universe, Steam Deck World, Steam Deck Legion was good. Steam Deck Mob, what's up? And the Steam Deck Squad, was good. Alright. I bet y'all was thinking like, what? He didn't put anything out today? Nothing? Man, what is wrong with you people? Of course I was gonna put something out, man. Something came up today, so had to take care of it. But anyway, all right, now let's get down to business here. What do we got? What do we got for you people? For you Steam Deckians. All right, let's see here. What do we got? Let's see. What do we have here? What do we have? Okay, we talking about Proton Experimental Fix Up Vampire Survivor, Marvel Snaps, and Microsoft Flight Simulator. All right. And then we got, what else we got? We got Team Fortress 2. Oh, you Linux desktop users are going to love this. Team Fortress 2 updates adds vScript, and you can now run Linux inside it. Yeah, you Steam Deck fans and Linux desktop users are always getting updates. Then there was another article I was looking at, saying the best Linux distro for gaming in 2023, and it give you some choices, give you some choices from Steam OS to Ubuntu 22.4, Arch Linux, Manjaro, and others. But this article is really talking about Ubuntu. If people want to get into Linux, they best starting off with Ubuntu. What says here, let me get started here. Says here, best Linux distro for gaming. I pointed out what were the best Linux distro for gaming. So here's the current state of what you should go for in 2023. The thing is, not a lot has changed since my last article. Linux is still a minefield of many distros for people, and it can be very confusing. There's a lot of articles out there recommending really random and outdated distribution. In list 2, here's the real thing. Without getting bogged down into packaging issues and just giving you the basics of this will work for you fine. Go and install Ubuntu. That's what I'm using. I'm using Ubuntu and Linux Mint. Says here, people and will, and then it says in parentheses, and I will expect them to argue for others, and other people are free too. But a lot of people suggest other distributions for the wrong reasons. Manjaro has too many problems, both technical and management. Arch can and will break things if you don't know exactly what you're doing. Fedora is messy with NVIDIA drivers, and Sush Linux on Fedora is a nuisance, and so on. Ubuntu is still to this day the most simple distribution of Linux to install and get gaming. That is true. I've been using Ubuntu. My first I was using Red Hat for a minute, but then I used Slackware, but then I went into Ubuntu. Anyway, says here, Ubuntu isn't perfect by a long shot, but make sure I got this right. Okay, here we go. It says Ubuntu isn't perfect by a long shot, but it still remains as my #1 choice to suggest to people both new and old to get into Linux and get gaming. It's one of the most used on desktop by any statistics you can find, which also means troubleshooting it generally easier too. With Ubuntu LTS long-term support, that's in parentheses, long-term support releases, you also get support for at least 5 years, so you don't have to hassle and potentially break off major system internal updates for quite a long time. And it says Valve-owned status show Ubuntu as the most popular tool, and it has been the same since Steam came to Linux. It says here, then it shows SteamOS 64, SteamOS Halo 64-bit, 24.98%, and then it says Ubuntu 22.4 LTS 64-bit, 12.27%. Arch Linux is at 9.12%. Manjaro at 6.92%, and Free Desktop Org SDK that's at 571, and others meaning the other distro, they're at 40.99%. Then it says here, as a user of Fedora myself, taking it from me, if you're in any way new to Linux, just go with Ubuntu if you ever decide. Really no Linux now, then you can think about using something else. Don't make it difficult for yourself. How might this change in the future? Well, Valve are here with Steam Deck and SteamOS. Eventually, Valve will release SteamOS 3, so anyone can download it and install it. That might end up being a good pick, but right now it's not on the table, as it's not released, and anyone making their own version of it, and then it says in parentheses like Holoso and others, and it says are too small to recommend serious use of them. If you need help and support specifically for Linux and also Steam Deck gaming, you can try asking in our forums, Discord, IRC, and Telegrams. Look, I used Red Hat before, but then I went to Slackware, and Slackware was pretty. I was using a friend of mine that I know, I would say a classmate of mine, burned me a copy of Slackware on a CD. I think it was a 2.3 or 3.2, one of the two. And I had a desktop. I had no internet on it, so I was running Slackware off the disk, and I was learning how to use it. And Slackware was pretty user friendly, and I used it for a while until I went to a show called UDS, and UDS they were given I think it's USDS or UDS, one of the two. I went to that seminar. It was a Linux seminar, and they were giving out a free copy of Ubuntu 12.4 with the server operating system. You get 2 CDs, but you only can get 1 per person. And I've been using Ubuntu ever since. And the good thing about Ubuntu is that, it's like when you install it. Let's say you start off with 12.4. Then when 13.4 comes out, you get a message asking you, do you want to update to 13.4, or do you want to update to 14.4, or 15, or 16.4, or even 17, and then 18, which I'm currently using, 18.4. Ubuntu will keep you up, answer these questions, and it will keep you up to date. And it comes with a lot of, if you go into the software center, there's a lot of apps, a lot of games you can play. Some of the games they need updated, and it comes with its own spreadsheets, like Microsoft Office and PowerPoint, Excel, and so on. So Ubuntu comes with its own spreadsheet, so it's pretty good to use, pretty user friendly. And the thing about using Linux, when it comes to these different operating systems they have, you have to have a open mind, when it comes to these operating systems. Like right now I'm using Linux, and then I'm using Linux Mint, and they're both good. They're both good OS. But there's other distros, besides Ubuntu, besides Linux Mint. There's Puppy Linux, and there's Kubuntu. There's XFCE. That's another one. You know, I think they're up to version 4 in that one. There's Red Hat. And, of course, there's Slackware. There's Manjaro. There's all kind of Linux distros. But the good thing about, you know, like Slackware or Linux Mint or Ubuntu, they're very user friendly. So you can get used to them. I would say in about a month or even 2 months, depending on how eager you are to learn it. But it comes with it's very user friendly. Plus, it comes with its own terminal where you can learn how to write codes and run the pseudo code to see how they work and go on from there. So it's Ubuntu is pretty good, man. So you know, give it a try. You know, but if Ubuntu ain't for you, then there's other Linux distros that you can set up. A good thing too is like to getting some other getting a like couple laptops or a couple desktop, then have one computer running Ubuntu, one running Linux Mint, one running say Slackware, one running Puppy Linux, another one running any kind of Linux distro you can think of, and then you can see from there which you can mess around with all 4 of them or 5 of them, however how many desktop you plan to get, and then you can see which one is for you. But other than that, man, Ubuntu is pretty good. But you know, the Linux distros, the operating systems are good. It all comes down to the user, you know, which one they prefer. You know, that's what it all comes down to. Not everybody got the same taste. So you know, not everybody got the same taste or the same likes. You know, we're all humans. We're all different. You know, we got different tastes and different likes. So when it comes to the operating systems, you know, it all comes down to what you prefer and then what you like to use. This article here on Gaming on Linux is talking about Ubuntu, which I use, and Ubuntu is pretty good. But just because it talks about Ubuntu, it doesn't mean that you stop yourself from using other Linux distros. You know, you got to try them all and see which one you prefer. You know, and then go on from there. And it's the same for like say Windows operating system. There's all kind of different Windows from, let's say, from 2000 all the way up to Windows 11. You know, not everybody. Some people still like 2000 to this day. Some people still like XP. Some people still like 7, 8, even Vista. So, you know, everybody got different tastes, different likes. So, but it all comes down to you, the user. Some people like Windows 10. Some people are waiting for Windows 10 to run out before they jump to 11. And then there's some people that got both Windows 10 and Windows 11 running on a different on 2 different machines. And then there's some that probably got Windows 2000, XP, Vista, 7, 8, 10, and 11. You know, because they do system administration. So, you know, people have when it comes to these operating systems, people have different tastes and different likes, and it all comes down to, you know, you the user. It's the same for, say, with Apple. There's different Apple operating system, from the Panther to the Jaguar to the Snow Leopard to the what's the other one? Let's say the Tiger. They got different operating systems, right? And then there's OS 8, OS 9, OS 10. So it's like, okay, and then it comes down to, okay, which one does the user really like? You know, so it all comes. That's what it all comes down to. But the simplest one may be the best one. But then again, you could try others. And when it comes to this article about Ubuntu, you know, that's what it's referring to. You know, I mean, I myself use Ubuntu. I would recommend it, but remember, there's other Linux distros that's out there. So it It all comes down to the individual, you the user, or what you prefer, and then what you like. That's what it comes down to. When it comes to this tech stuff too, you don't want to limit yourself. When it comes to this tech stuff, so you always gotta have an open mind. Anyway, I'm gonna leave this video for y'all to enjoy. Nice talking to you people again. Chris, still Star Wars, Star Trek 9, or Dark Side. Okay. Peace.